She'd be calling me like I'm a prostitute, and this was all from the age of like 14, 15. My dad, 9 times out of 10, would be this close to my face, shouting in my face, swearing in my face, saying that he wants to get a shotgun out and shoot me and wants to kill me. My story is that I was raised by 2 narcissistic, abusive parents. It involves a lot of psychological abuse, emotional abuse, blackmail and manipulation and control. In terms of my childhood, the only memories that I remember, they're all negative. I don't have any positive memories that I can recall from. When I think about when I was probably about 8 years old, that's when I started to realize that I know that my mum doesn't love me and my dad doesn't have any sort of care for me. And to give a bit of context as well, my mum, I would say she was the main narcissist, and my dad, he just enabled her behaviour. So he blindly followed anything she did, whether it was wrong, he would back her up all the time. So I never had a safe parent to go to. My mum would also say that she was too tired to cook, she didn't have the energy. She'd rather talk to her friends on the phone, so we would have to go and basically look in the cupboards and make food ourselves. So there was a lot of times where I'd be eating the same plain pasta again and again, or there'd be expired food in the cupboards, and that would be really difficult because we didn't know how to make a proper meal. And if your own parent is refusing to care for you, you kind of then start to internalize that you're not good enough. As I started getting older, I recall this one memory when I was I think I must have been about 9 or 10 years old. And we took a family holiday to America. During that time, I don't know where I got them from, but I must have got them from school. I had really bad head lice, and my mum knew that I had head lice, but she decided to ignore it and took us on the plane. We got to America and we were there for the majority of the summer. So my mum allowed me to basically be there in the family's home with head lice. And I remember feeling disgusting. I remember feeling irritated. I was in pain. I knew that my mum knew. And the fact that she didn't want to do anything about it, again, I felt like I wasn't worthy of her time. And I used to say to her, like, but can we please get something sorted? Like, I'm feeling really irritated. I can feel them crawling all over my hair. And she would just completely ignore me as if I wasn't even speaking. So my voice never even mattered. So with my older sister, she had got married and moved out the family home. And my parents would literally just leave me at my sister's house. But it started happening it was every other weekend. And then it became every weekend. And I used to kind of question my sister and say, but why does my mum not want to spend any time with me? I love being here, but I don't always have to be here. And obviously my sister knew what was going on, but she didn't really know how to communicate that to her younger sister, that you're going through what you're going through. This is where the manipulation is really deep-rooted, because once I started becoming a teenager, I would then stay at home and I'd start to get bored at home, and I think, well, I'm not wanted by my parents. They don't really look after me properly. They're not like the parents I see my friends have at school. So I just thought, well, I want to go to my sister's. So I would actually push my mum and say, look, I need you to take me there. I want to stay with her all weekend. And then my mum would be really verbally abusive to me and start calling me all names and saying to me, like, how dare you want to go to your sister's? Like, you don't want to spend any time with me. And I would question her and I'd say, but you put me there from a young age and you don't want to spend any time with me. And she'd be like, no, you're making that up. And the thing is, a lot of narcissistic parents will gaslight you. So whatever you say, they've always got an excuse to come back with, and they will act like it never happened. So I had a lot of that growing up as well. And I basically said to my mum, well, I don't really know what you want me to do. So she'd always be playing these mind games with me. So even if I did decide to stay at home, it'd come to the weekend and my parents were out because they would rather go and spend time with their friends and look after their children. So again, I was very emotionally confused for a long time. And what the saddest thing was as well is that my mum would literally use my dad as the aggressor in the family. So when we would be arguing and I would be trying to actually reason with her, and I'd say, can we just sit down and have a conversation? I'm not comfortable with all this shouting, this swearing. I mean, she'd be calling me like I'm a prostitute, I'm a whore. And this was all from the age of 14, 15, that I should go kill myself, I don't deserve to live. The world's cruel out there, so if I do run away from home, nobody's going to look after me and I'm going to be found in the ditch. So when you have that fear put into you, you're very stuck because you don't want to be at home, but then you're also a bit wary of where do I go? Like, who do I trust if I go out into the world? Because she's telling me there's going to be nobody there for me. And when we would have these arguments, my dad would get involved because my mum would basically rile him up and say, You need to tell her. She needs to shut her mouth. She's the one that's causing the trouble. So my dad, 9 times out of 10, would be this close to my face, shouting in my face, swearing in my face, saying that he wants to get a shotgun out and shoot me and wants to kill me if I don't behave and if I don't be silent. So I remember being about 15, 16 years old, and she would have had an argument with either us, or it'd be like my dad, or she would have had an argument with anybody, and it'd be over the smallest thing. Like if somebody went to the supermarket and didn't buy the right type of bread, she would completely just lose it, and she would like go really, rageful and aggressive. So I remember she went upstairs into the main bedroom, and she had a few health conditions at the time, so she was taking a few pills and medication. And she locked herself in the room, and this is why she was arguing with everyone, locked herself in the room, said she was going to commit suicide and kill herself. And she's going to take all her medication, and we're going to be, we're going to be without a mum, basically. And I remember being really a massive pain in my chest that my mum could kill us tonight. And I was 15. And I was even though my relationship with her is not great, who am I going to go to? I still need a mum. So my dad ended up breaking the door down and banging into it. So he broke the door down, and she was actually sat there on her phone, just scrolling on her phone as if nothing had ever happened. And I remember she looked at me and she smirked at me because I was stood there with my face red, my tears streaming down my face, being like, Mum, are you okay? And she knew exactly what she actually enjoyed the fact that she'd caused us, because she had that power. She enjoyed the fact that she caused us this kind of emotional reaction. My mum would be feeding my brother information. So he'd be saying to my brother, oh, your sisters are saying this about you. Don't be close to your sisters. They're actually the evil ones. They're really bad. And we wouldn't have actually done anything wrong. And I think he internalized that. And as he got older, he started distancing himself from us. If we tried to speak to my brother, he kind of would say, oh, but maybe they're different now because they're older, and very dismissive over it. And that's why we had to go no contact with him as well. At the same time, we went no contact with my parents. There were a lot of times where I felt like I didn't want to live. And I thought about ending my life quite a few times, actually, because I thought, well, all we ever get at home is arguments. I'm literally being used as a punching bag. Nobody is looking after me. Nobody's protecting me. So I don't belong in this family. And I think that's something really key for someone who goes through narcissistic abuse. Is you don't feel like you belong. So I thought, well, if I don't belong here, I don't know if I ever am going to belong anywhere. So I might as well just end my life. Those things started happening. I had those thoughts from quite a young age when I was a teenager. And it must just be, I don't know, maybe my sister's support, maybe just me fighting against my parents all the time. I didn't, luckily, because obviously I'm still here. But I think that kind of level of depression and anxiety and feeling really low self-esteem and worthless, that's what these narcissistic parents do. It's almost like it's their goal to make you feel that way, so you are helpless and you're powerless, because then they want to control you for the rest of their life. If I fast forward a little bit to when I was sort of in my 20s, I remember I had gone to live with a boyfriend of mine at the time that I'd met at university. So I was finished university and I'd moved in with him, and he lived in a different city. Was with him for a couple of years, and you're young, relationships don't always work out. So I remember my anxiety was through the roof, because at this point I started distancing myself from my parents. My partner at the time knew what was going on, and he didn't agree with the fact that my mum would hound my phone every day, text me saying, why don't you care about us? You don't love us anymore. You don't deserve me as a mum. And it would just be out of nowhere, out of the blue, I'd be getting these messages because she wanted to cause me to have a reaction with her. And because I wasn't giving her much of a reaction, I did start to have a bit of distance, and I thought, oh, maybe I can move on from this. Maybe I can have a new life. The relationship ended, and I, at the time, unfortunately, financially, I wasn't able to move anywhere else, even though I tried to look for other places. And I kind of thought, well, I haven't really seen them for a while. I know that they've got some behaviours that I don't agree with, but maybe they've changed. So I moved back home, and I remember my mum saying to me at the time, actually, she was being fake. And this is it, she had her fake mask on. And she said to me, oh, don't worry, you're back at home now. You can heal here. You're obviously heartbroken, I get it. And then literally within a space of a couple of weeks, she sat me down and said it was all my fault. and saying that I was at fault for it. And it wasn't like that. I was very honest with her with what happened. And she said like, oh, the people that I date, the type of men I date, I've got really bad taste in them and things like just making me feel, again, really like she'd belittle me, she'd mock me, and she would love doing this. So then I essentially decided to leave the family home. There was like another incident that happened as well. And those incidents actually was when my parents, my mum, she actually fell over and she had to have a hip replacement. So she had to go into hospital. And just to add a bit of context, they're in their 70s now, so they are elderly, a bit more older parents. And I remember it was just me and my dad at home, and my dad was like, he was lost without her. Like he didn't know what to do without her. And he'd be like, we need to go see her every day because, well, he is definitely an abusive parent, but I do also think he's been controlled by her as well. And I don't forgive him. Like, I'm not trying to say he's a victim or anything. I just feel like he completely lost himself to her manipulative ways. So I went to go visit her in the hospital, and I would always try and go towards the end of the day where the visiting hours are really small, because by this point I knew, and me and my sister were discovering the word narcissistic parent, and it fit my mum to a T, because before we thought maybe she's got another mental health condition, or she's bipolar, or something's not right, or she's had a traumatic childhood. But when we did our research with everybody, everyone claimed that her childhood was fine, nothing has happened to her. And again, it's no excuse, but you're trying to understand why this person's being so abusive. So I went into hospital, and she basically said to me, it was just me and her in the small room that she had. And she said, oh, look at that nurse over there. She was like, last night, she actually hit me in the bed. And I was like, what? Like, why would she do that? Like, I don't think that's, like, she's not done that. And she was like, yeah, she did. So I need you to go and tell her. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I was like, let me see, like, where? And she was like, oh no, there's no marks or anything. But in the middle of the night, when she came to like give me water and a change of medication, she like hit me up and like roughed me up. And I was like, that's not believable, because I knew what my mum's character was like. She'd always be the victim. She'd always play the victim. So I said to her, I challenged her, and I said, well, why don't you tell your husband, like my dad, to do it when he next comes in to see you? Like, tell him to do it. And she was like, no, you need to do it. So again, this like level of control and like hating the fact that I was going against her. And I remember looking over at the nurse and thinking, I just know this is not true. So I said to my mum, I'm leaving now. Like, you're putting me in a position, you're making me feel uncomfortable. I'm going to leave. Like, I've seen you, it is what it is. And then she started shouting, like calling me names, being really abusive again, like as I'm leaving. But she said it in Gujarati. So that's the language, because I'm a Hindu, that's the language I got brought up in. So nobody else could hear that. They could just hear that she was being loud. And like, I think the nurses said, like, is she okay? And I was like, yeah, she's fine. With a narcissist, it's such a, I hate to say it, but because there's no compassion or empathy, you have to play a game with them. And I look back now and I'm sad for myself, because I didn't want to turn out to be that way. I didn't want to be this defensive person who's recording people and like having to always fight with people. Like, I just wanted to live a normal life. But now moving forward, being no contact was the best decision I ever made. And it's something I speak about. And I do advise people that you can't ever win with a narcissist. You can never change them. They're never going to take accountability. So like, you're either going to spend your life trying to walk on eggshells and work around them, or you're going to die. Your soul's going to die, because you're just taking on this abuse all the time from them.